So now that there are two new heroes and new season with new mechanics, it is time for us to update our open field commander tier list for season 1 plus with the addition of Frhagar and Syndrome. What is up, guys? Meower here, back with a brand new Call of Dragons video. So the season's been out for a while, and we've seen some of the new commanders in action so far in the open field. So it's time for us to finally update the open field tier list for season 1 plus with the new commanders and the new 5 and 6 star mechanics for both legendary and epic commanders. Of course, if you like content like this, please do drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's get this video started. So starting off, we will be ranking each and every commander in certain tier lists. Now, just because a commander is in a certain tier does not make it inherently bad. Some commanders are more specialized than others in different fields of the game. That being said, let's start ranking people. Starting off, we'll be going through the Gathering tier list, which are Chakcha, Kela, and we're gonna keep those two in the Gathering because there will be another support tier list here. Support tier in our tier list. Of course, this tier list is made with tiermaker.com. I will leave the link to the tier list in the description below. That being said, let's continue. So, next up, we got our engineering. So, in engineering, there is Ordo. There is also engineering as Nico, but you never want to use Nico as engineering. And what engineering means is that basically building flags, destroying flags, building barricades and destroying barricades, and all that stuff related to engineering. I will leave a card up in the screen right now showing you the engineering guide and what tips and tricks you can use to utilize that. That being said, let's continue. Next up, the support role. So, support commanders are basically commanders that have certain buffs or debuffs that help out your marches in one shape or form or another. So, we got three commanders in that tier list, which are mainly Indus, which I think is the current best support commander in Call of Dragons in Season 1 Plus, especially with the expansion of troop capacity, making her 20% damage taken debuff, which makes it so up to three legions take 20% more damage from all sources. It pretty much makes it so whatever gets hit by that debuff, the infirm debuff, get annihilated in the open field because they just get piled on from every single march around it, especially because open field is all about grouping. Next up, Thea. Now, Thea, the reason why she's not better than Indus right now is because there is a certain typo in her awaken skill, which makes so instead of it actually granting to two nearby legions, only grants one also nearby legion, only grants it a 1000 shield factor shield. It does not grant them the hero skill damage buff either. However, if it granted two nearby legions as well, the shield she would definitely be much better. But as it is right now, whether if it's a bug with the skill or a typo in the skill description, we will never know because we've reached out a few times to the developers to fix this bug. Hopefully, they'll fix it pretty soon. Next up, the C tier. Now, you'll notice that epic commanders in this season have really fallen out of flavor. Even though they used to be super good in the older season, now with the introduction of 5 and 6 star commanders, there is a 5% attack resistance for 5 stars for legendary commanders and a 5% defense penetration for 6 stars in legendary commanders, while epics only get access to 3% attack resistance at 5 stars, making them effectiveness pretty much lower than any legendary march ever will, due to the fact of if two epics have 6% attack reduction while two legendaries will have 10%. So that's a difference of 4%, which is significantly large, assuming as well there are more troops now, making the damage factors for legendary skills that much more valuable than epic skills. So most of the epic commanders will be placed right here in the C tier, and for good reason. They're good in the start of the season 1 plus, but as the season progresses and passes start to open, people level up their commanders, their effectiveness will slowly dwindle. We're going to keep Atheist at the top of the C tier, though, mainly because he is one of the few flying commanders in the game right now, so he still has his uses and his utility. But Bakar will be thrown at the end of C tier, and so will Alistar, because Bakshi and Emrys are all in gold keys. Eliana will still maintain her position in one of the more good epic commanders because she can still be used with Garwood for merit farming purposes. Guanwin will be right under Eliana, Craig under Guanwin, and Waldir. Waldir, I feel like is still the best epic. I regret saying Atheist was the best epic. I feel like Waldir is still the best epic, and followed by Guanwin, then Eliana, then Craig, then Atheist, Alwyn, Alistar, Bakar, and of course we're gonna have Garwood on top of that list. The reason why I say Garwood is on top of that list, Garwood, while yes, is a legendary commander, he is still just a meat shield in the open field, and he is super easy to ignore. He's not going to damage you. He's not really going to do anything. He's just there to soak damage. But this tier list, of course, is based on my opinion. If you have different opinions, feel free to let me know in the comments below, and let's discuss it. That being said, that is everything for the B tier. Let's go to the for the C tier. Let's go to the B tier. Now, surprisingly, Syndrome and Frhagar will both be placed in the B tier. I fought them both, and I fought alongside them, and I've asked a few of the whales that have them, that actually use them, and what they think about those two commanders. They said Frhagar definitely performed much better in the open field. However, Kenara and Nico still outperform her by miles, mainly because she's so squishy and, well, she requires a big setup in order to dump her damage, while Kenara and Nico have that counterattack going on for them, and they're slightly a bit more tanky and provide more utility to your allies, especially in the open field, because most of the open field is all about allies and such. It's not about 1v1s and just dishing out singular target damage. You want to be debuffing your enemies, defense breaking from Nico, reducing all damage they deal for Kianara, and etc. 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 So Syndrome and Freygar will sadly be in the B tier. Maybe that will change by the end of the season, but so far they have not really been impressive at all. Next up, in the B tier, we're gonna have to place Nika. Now, Nika is, while extremely good in the open field, she only functions if you have Madeline with you. If you don't have Madeline in the March for Nika, she's not going to be as effective as she probably would be with Madeline, because Madeline gives her the tankiness and the extra damage boost to really make Nika shine. That being said, let's start with the A tier. So in the A tier, we're going to have our cavalry boys, Bakshi and Emrys. Usually they would have been in the S tier. However, with the collision changes, it is now more difficult to pilot cavalry commanders, making their effectiveness slightly lower than it used to be before. Mainly because, well, you can be blocked by anything really, and if someone is paying attention, they can just put up any decoy march and block your cavalry from flanking their backline and wreaking as much havoc as possible. Next up, in the A tier, we're gonna be placing Velen at the top of the A tier. He is super close to breaking into the S tier, but he just lacks that little extra slight damage that Lilia has. So Velen will sadly be in the top of the A tier, just barely in the S tier, and of course Hosk as well will be in the A tier, just close to S tier. However, Hosk, while being a jack of all trades, he is a master of none and does not really specialize in any certain situation. He is a good filler for any march you lack. He provides a lot of buffs in the open field. He can be extremely tanky or do a lot of damage, but he just doesn't do a single thing that good compared to the others that are in the S tier. So let's start with the S tier. Of course, Mommy Madeline is top of the S tier, one of the best commanders in the game right now. Hands down, what makes infantry so good is Madeline. She's tanky, she does damage, she's a good meat shield, she has access to two super good talent trees. She just does it all. One of the best commanders overall. I love Madeline. She's one of my favorites right now. Of course, Lilia is also the queen of AoE DPS. The reason why she's in the S tier and Velen is not, even though Velen might seem better, is because of her ability to constantly keep scorching people without really any cooldown. So she can arguably scorch a lot of players over time while dealing even more damage, with scorch dealing hero skill damage for 200 every second for 5 seconds. So this pretty much makes it so if you are lucky with the probability of her landing her scorch, she can arguably set the entire battlefield ablaze with constant AoE, constant DPS from her scorch, and of course dealing more magic unit HP and granting them a little bit more magic attack. Though she does function extremely well with Velen, I would argue both of them could be in the S tier, but well, Velen just lacks that little extra oof that makes him in the S tier. Though some players might rank Velen in the S tier and Lilia in the A tier and swap places, but for now we'll keep it like that. We'll see as the season progresses and more fighting occurs, but for now, so far, this is my opinion based on my experiences in the battlefield. Next up, Kenara, S tier, no brainer. Kenara and Nico, ever since their release so far, they've been absolutely amazing. They've had so much value, and the open field they grant so much, they'll deal so much damage as well, and they're one of the best pairings in the game right now due to the sheer amount of counterattack they do, making it so if you hit the march, you're basically killing yourself on the march. And well, they provide so much damage and utility from Nico's defense break, which makes it so if you are targeting someone with your allies, they're going to be nuked to oblivion. And Kanara's feeble debuff, which decreases all damage they deal by 15%. These two skills alone, ignoring the rest of their kit, makes it so these two provide just so much sheer value in the open field when you are pairing up with your allies and trying to do as much buffs and debuffs against the enemy and buffing your allies. So this is the tier list in my opinion. If you have different opinions, please do let me know. I would love to discuss it with you. Now, just because a commander is in B tier, such as Nika, does not make it overall bad, because, like I said before, some commanders need good pairings to shine. These two commanders only work together. Syndrome and Frhagar only work together at best when they are paired with each other. They don't really have that flexibility that some other commanders do. While someone like Haas can be paired with almost anyone and find success, someone like Lilia can be paired with an epic, she can be paired with a legendary and still find success. Same for Velen, etc., etc., etc. However, this is my opinion on the tier list so far for the open field fighting in Call of Dragons in Season 1 Plus. And I would love to hear if you have shared different opinions. Other than that, please do drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to join our Discord if you want to discuss the tier list with me. I will of course leave the link to the tier list in the description of this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Meow meow.